Harry Kane took the headlines, but Marmoush and Ekitiké were the league's deadliest duo until a massive transfer changed everything. Ekitiké's brace, including a finish in the closing stages, put Frankfurt in control before Matanovic added a late fourth as they beat Eintracht Braunschweig 4-1 to reach the second round despite a late Braunschweig reply. Gittens struck twice late as Borussia Dortmund handed Frankfurt a 2-0 defeat on their league return. Ekitiké, Larsen and Omar Marmoush were on target as Frankfurt answered the Dortmund loss with a 3-1 home win over Hoffenheim. Omar Marmoush scored twice, including a late penalty, as Frankfurt won 2-1 at Wolfsburg. Larsen and Omar Marmoush struck in a 2-0 home win over Borussia Mönchengladbach, with Frankfurt moving into fourth. Eintracht Frankfurt's first European night of the season ended 3-3 with Plzen, Ekitiké striking first before Schulk replied, then Dina Ebimbe and Christensen put them ahead again, only for Adu and Jamelka to claw it back. They went to Holstein Stadion and won 4-2, with Omar Marmoush scoring twice and Holstein's Makino also hitting a brace. European duty brought a 3-0 win at the Tuprash Stadiumo as Omar Marmoush, Dina Ebimbe and Knauf scored to give Frankfurt a sharp start against Besiktas. Back on home soil, Omar Marmoush scored twice as Frankfurt drew 3-3 with Bayern Munich, salvaging a point late on. Heading back out on the road, Omar Marmoush reached 10 goals in all competitions, but they lost 1-2 to Bayer Leverkusen despite his penalty. Back at the Volksstadion, Larsen found the net as the clock wound down to beat Rigas FS 1-0. This dismissal added to a 1-1 draw with Union Berlin after Goetz's early opener had been wiped out. Ekitiké set Frankfurt on the way to a 2-1 home win over Borussia Mönchengladbach in the DFB Pokal's second round, despite Theate's early dismissal. Marmoush added the winner after the restart to send them into the round of 16. A total demolition on home soil saw Frankfurt put 7 past Bochum. Ekitiké spearheaded the attack with a brace, while goals flowed from all over the pitch to lift them into third. On home soil, Marmoush's goal proved enough to beat Slavia Praha 1-0. It kept Frankfurt's European journey moving in the right direction. Frankfurt won 3-2 at Stuttgart after Ekitiké, Brown and Marmoush built a 3-goal lead, with late goals from Wagnermann and Woltemade only narrowing the margin. Goetz's goal settled a 1-0 home win over Werder Bremen. It was Frankfurt's 10th straight Bundesliga match with a goal. Eintracht Frankfurt's Europa League trip to MCH Arena ended 2-1, with Larsen striking first, Collins' own goal dragging Midtjylland level, and Omar Marmoush's second-half penalty sealing a 4th straight win in the competition and his 15th goal in all competitions. They returned to Bundesliga duty with a 4-0 win at Heidenheim, as Omar Marmoush scored twice and Hugo Ekitiké added a late 4th to reach 10 goals in all competitions. RB Leipzig ended Frankfurt's DFB Pokal run with a 3-0 round of 16 defeat as Openda scored twice. Back at home, Frankfurt had to settle for 2-2 with Augsburg after Ekitiké and Uzun brought them back but could not find a winner. Knauf and Marmoush scored, but they were beaten 3-2 by Lyon, with Marmoush striking late in the 85th minute. Brown levelled for Frankfurt, but Šeško and Openda gave RB Leipzig a 2-1 win that left Eintracht down in third. Frankfurt still lost 3-1 at home to Mainz, despite the visitors going down to 10, with an own goal and a Nebel brace doing the damage before Christensen pulled one back. At St. Pauli, Omar Marmoush kept his scoring run going with the only goal as Frankfurt answered the Mainz loss with a 1-0 win. Against Freiburg, Omar Marmoush signed off with a goal and 2 assists in a 4-1 home win. He left Frankfurt on 15 Bundesliga goals, a club record through the first 17 league games and 20 in all competitions. Momentum rolled on as they beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0 at home, with Ekitiké opening the scoring before Højlund sealed it late. Eintracht Frankfurt made the European switch count, with Uzun opening just after the break and Ekitiké adding the second in a 2-0 win over Ferencváros. That made it 7 straight Europa League games with a goal for them. Frankfurt drew 2-2 at Hoffenheim, with Ekitiké scoring twice to salvage a point. The brace took him to 10 Bundesliga goals and 15 in all competitions. Roma won 2-0 at the Stadio Olimpico in Frankfurt's final Europa League game of the opening phase. Can Uzun equalised late after Tutas' own goal had put Frankfurt behind, and they drew 1-1 at home with Wolfsburg. Hugo Ekitiké's equaliser earned a 1-1 draw at Borussia Mönchengladbach and made it 20 straight Bundesliga matches with a Frankfurt goal. Larsson and Tuta put Frankfurt in control against Holstein Kiel before Can Uzun added the third in a 3-1 home win. The result extended their league unbeaten run to 7. They were handed a 4-0 defeat at the Allianz Arena, with Olise striking before the break and Ito, Musiala and Gnabry adding the rest. Back at the Waldstadion, Bayer Leverkusen won 4-1, with Hugo Ekitiké's goal no more than a brief reply for Frankfurt. In Amsterdam, Frankfurt came from behind to beat Ajax 2-1 in the Europa League first leg, with Hugo Larsson and Eli Skiri replying after Brobby's early opener. Union Berlin left Frankfurt with a 2-1 Bundesliga win, and Batshuayi's goal was not enough on a frustrating home night. Götze scored twice on a huge European night at home as Frankfurt beat Ajax 4-1 and advanced to the Europa League quarter-finals. Frankfurt won 3-1 at VfL Bochum, with Batshuayi finishing it off in stoppage time. A red card for Al-Dakhil just before the hour mark opened the door, and Mario Götze did not need a second invitation, clinically sealing a 1-0 win over Stuttgart. Werder Bremen beat Frankfurt 2-0 at the Weserstadion, with Berg and Schmid scoring. Hugo Ekitiké struck early as Frankfurt drew 1-1 away to Tottenham Hotspur in the Europa League quarter-final, reaching 20 goals in all competitions. Bahoya, Koch and Ekitiké scored as Frankfurt marked their return to Bundesliga action with a 3-0 home win over 1FC Heidenheim. Solanka's penalty settled the second leg, sending Frankfurt out with a 1-0 home defeat to Tottenham. Frankfurt were held to a goalless draw at Augsburg in their first league match after the Europa League exit. Ansgar Knauf scored in each half as Frankfurt beat RB Leipzig 4-0 at home after the visitors were reduced to 10 early in the second period. Ekitiké and Koch added the other goals in a win that strengthened the top 4 push. Christensen gave Frankfurt the lead before Burkhardt earned Mainz a 1-1 draw. Christensen and Batshuayi scored in a lively 2-2 home draw with St. Pauli, a result that secured Champions League qualification for Frankfurt. Nauf, Christensen and Skiri turned it around as Frankfurt beat Freiburg 3-1 on the final day. Frankfurt's season was a tale of two halves, defined by an attack that never really slowed down. The early months belonged to the Marmoush and Ekitiké partnership, a duo so clinical that they powered Eintracht deep into the top 4. When Marmoush departed in January after a club record 15 Bundesliga goals in the first 17 league games, the team had to find a new identity. They found it in the grit of the Ajax turnaround and a relentless final push for third place. Even with the stumbles against Bayern and Leverkusen and the heartbreak against Tottenham, the goal was achieved. Champions League football is back in Frankfurt. It was a season of evolution and ultimately a major success. Thanks for watching Scoreflow, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.